Jeff Bezos is perhaps the only person in the world who can compete with Elon Musk in terms of wealth, power, and influence. For most people, the name requires no introduction, as even if you haven't heard of Jeff, you would likely have heard of his business, Amazon. Both he and Elon are hailed as geniuses and internet pioneers, but that is where the similarities end. Elon is widely admired and seen as a visionary for his ideas. Although people acknowledge Jeff's genius, people also view him with distrust and anger. If Elon Musk is Tony Stark, then Jeff Bezos is Lex Luthor, and it certainly isn't just because of his bald head. Hello there, welcome to Wealthy Takes, where we discuss the stories of wealthiest and most influential people and how they make their fortune. In today's episode, we will discuss the bald brainiac himself, Jeff Bezos, and why he is often so hated. The shy bookworm. If you were to look at his early years, Jeff hardly seemed destined for success. He was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico on January 12, 1964, to teenage parents Jacqueline and Theodore Jorgensen. Within a year of being married, his parents would have a divorce, and Jacqueline would later marry a Cuban immigrant by the name of Miguel Bezos, whose last name Jeff would later take. His childhood was pretty unremarkable, though Jeff showed an early interest in science and technology at a young age. When he was a child, he would use his family garage as a makeshift laboratory where he would conduct experiments and make electrical contraptions. He would also spend every summer working on his grandfather's ranch, learning different skills about how to take care of the animals. Though the work was difficult, it taught him the importance of being self-reliant and problem-solving. By the time he entered high school, he could effectively do many of the jobs on the ranch. When his family moved to Florida, he would become an avid user of computers and spent all his time working on them. As a teenager, he would attend Miami Palmetto High School and at the same time get his first taste of working. While Jeff was studying, he also worked as a line cook at the local McDonald's during the breakfast shift. He would learn about the importance of automation and customer service in his experience there. His love of technology would lead him to pursue a science and electrical engineering degree from Princeton, a degree he would get in 1986 summa cum laude. By 1990, Jeff was working for the New York investment bank D.E. Shaw & Co. and eventually rose to become its senior vice president, the firm's youngest. One of his responsibilities was to study the internet and determine its investment opportunities. This research was what allowed Jeff to see the potential of the internet. With 2,000% growth per year, it was a massive market he could explore. But he wouldn't be doing it under D.E. Shaw & Co. Instead, Jeff would resign from his job and follow his path. He moved to Seattle in 1994, and from his garage, he would open a virtual bookstore from his garage that would become known as Amazon. Path to the Amazon. The Amazon of the late 90s was nothing like the mega corporation that we would know it as today. Back then, it was staffed by Jeff Bezos himself and a handful of employees working out of his garage while they would have their meetings in the Barnes and Nobles nearby. Despite putting $10,000 into his company, the odds seemed stacked against him. The internet was still relatively new, but it was flooded with thousands of cheaply made sites with their gimmick and products to sell. And yet somehow, within a few years, Amazon would be shipping books across the country and beyond. So what was the secret to Jeff Bezos' success? The first one is their focus on the customers. Amazon's popularity is its convenience. With its efficient supply chain and countless options, Amazon's customers can get almost anything they need and get it fast. The second was the time and care that Jeff and his team put into Amazon. Although the internet was in its infancy, Jeff still spent an entire year beta testing Amazon before making it public. Within a month after opening, Amazon had sold books in nearly every state plus 45 other countries. Within 2 months, their sales stood at $20,000 weekly, far more than Jeff had imagined. Since then, Jeff has expanded the product catalog of Amazon in all directions. Aside from books, you now shop at Amazon for almost anything: toys, electronics, decorations, and even freshly prepared meals. Aside from retail, Jeff also invested in other ventures such as streaming, AI, cooking, and so much more. Perhaps the most ambitious venture would go far beyond Amazon and even Earth for that matter. Instead, Jeff, like Elon, would look to the stars and create his own space company, Blue Origin. The race to the space flight. Blue Origin got a head start on SpaceX for a full 2 years, being founded in the year 2000. According to Jeff, his inspiration was the biographical movie October Sky, which detailed the life of one of NASA's engineers. Like its counterpart, Blue Origin seeks to recapture the public's interest in space travel, though instead of colonizing the Moon and Mars, they hope to transform space travel from a busy privilege to the rare few into a journey anyone can take. Soon after its beginning, Jeff would begin buying land in Texas and start developing the technology for space travel, including rockets, launch pads, and other infrastructure. The most famous of these early innovations was New Shepard, the rocket which would become the main system used by Blue Origin. It would take years of development to perfect this system and clear out all the bugs, but after nearly 7 years, New Shepard would have its maiden voyage in 2015, successfully launching off the ground. A few months later, a second launch would be conducted that would take the rocket into suborbital flight. However, these achievements would pale in comparison to what Blue Origin would achieve 6 years later. In July 2021, Blue Origin would launch the rocket RSS first step into space, but this was no ordinary flight because the rocket would be carrying 4 passengers, marking it as the first manned flight by the company. The passengers included Jeff, his half-brother Mark, American aviator Wally Funk, and Dutch teenager Oliver Damon, the latter holding the honor of being Blue Origin's first customer. While already a tremendous accomplishment, Blue Origin would also break 4 world records with its flight, having the first pair of siblings to go into space, the youngest astronaut, the first woman to go into space, and the oldest person to go to space, with Wally being 82 at the time. And of course, the first flight with paying customers. In a recent development, Blue Origin has secured a prestigious NASA contract to revolutionize space travel. Teaming up with powerhouses like Lockheed Martin, Draper, Boeing, Astrobotic, and Honeybee Robotics, they are set to develop a lunar lander and cislunar transporter. Imagine the possibilities: high performance, storable propellants using LOX LH2, enabling mind-blowing space missions. The cryocoolers will prevent LOX LH2 boil-off, propelling us towards a future where lunar ice fuels our journeys. Jeff Bezos relentlessly pushes the boundaries of human achievement, making him an invincible force in shaping the future of space exploration. Road to growth. Even from the start, Jeff has focused his company on growth rather than profitability. Amazon's goal isn't just making a quick buck. Its strategy is built around scaling. That's why Jeff Bezos chose to start a bookstore. Jeff chose them as his main product because books were the perfect product to scale. That fact goes beyond books too, as Amazon has expanded far beyond that. That is something Amazon was happy to exploit, and the first criticism of Amazon is its anti-competitive business model. By continuously scaling its business, Amazon has made it nearly impossible for other companies to compete with them. Oftentimes, you see Amazon selling products far below market value because they know they are the only ones who can charge that price. This is a story that countless businesses report being absorbed or bankrupted thanks to Amazon, and even major corporations like Toys R Us and Radio Shack have met similar fates. No matter where you are in the world, you can buy a product of Amazon and get it in your hands in a day. To accomplish that, Amazon requires an efficient logistics network Jeff has built over the years. Jeff and the nearly 1 million Amazon employees, from warehouse workers to employees, need to work incredibly hard to keep things running smoothly. From tight schedules to safety risks, there is a lot that goes into making Amazon the way it is. To meet the demands of these tight schedules, workers sometimes had to resort to strategies that sacrificed convenience in favor of efficiency, such as unsafe driving and pulling extra hours. These work conditions are incredibly taxing, both physically and mentally. As a result, many reported accidents and even a few deaths due to a lack of precautions. While no one can deny the time and effort Jeff put into building up Amazon, some have pushed Jeff to take more steps to protect and compensate his workers for the hard work they put in. But while some steps are being made now, several skeptics who have pointed out that Jeff has a history opposing unions and yelling at his employees. Even Blue Origin hasn't been spared from criticism. While many people do hail it as a feat of human ingenuity and engineering, others see it as a self-indulgent ambition of Jeff Bezos. One of the most recent flights took place right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, which struck people as rather tasteless. While many people, including thousands of Amazon employees, were struggling to make ends meet, Jeff was able to take a day trip into space. The very idea of space tourism has left many wondering if this will only be a vanity for only the ultra-rich to enjoy. What made the situation worse was Jeff's seemingly insensitive behavior once the rocket returned, where he interrupted famed actor William Shatner's heartfelt speech. These growing reports, alongside Jeff Bezos' increasing fortune, have left a bad taste in many people's mouths, and it's no wonder why people have a growing disdain for him. It does make you wonder how people will see him in the future. As the trailblazer and visionary who ventured into the wild west of the internet and made an empire? Or as a ruthless businessman who made his fortune by the exploitation of others?